should have helped actually deal with this problem. He's been speaking on this Joy Business also, and also the issues about his upcoming Entrepreneurship Challenge contest.
The cleanup is good. It's good to help the economy, but are the banks ready to support businesses? I don't think they are ready now because they don't want to give loans. As I'm talking to you, they are not ready to give loans.
Not for a McDan enterprise, not for the McDan group, because some will say that you are credit worthy. And if credit worthy institutions like you are still complaining that access to credit is a major challenge, then what about the small scale enterprises?
No, not the McDan I'm talking about. McDan had gone beyond that level of assessing credit. When I mean credit, you understand what I mean. I mean, if I will approach a bank, it's project-based. I've already taken off, and it's a project I will take to a bank to support. But I'm talking, we're talking about entrepreneurs, so I'm not talking for myself. Where I'm sitting, I'm seeing a lot. And what I'm doing, I'm also tasting a lot of the economy. And I also have a lot of engagements. So we need to get ready. If some of us are out of water, doesn't mean the rest should sink. This is a place when businesses get to the organic level, they collapse. That is the next engagement in this country. Why?
And former Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Corporation, that is Alex Mode, is requesting a thorough investigations into the operations of Tullow Oil Ghana and their financial statement. According to Alex Mode, government must ensure that Ghanaians are not punished for the planned layoffs in Tullow.
I think the fields are not producing as they had anticipated. They also had some challenges in Guyana where they reported, or they wrongly reported, or they misreported on the type of oil. And so the investors and analysts have taken it heavily on them. Their stock price has dropped. To be able to appease the analysts and get their stock price up, they've reverted to cost cutting, and that is the right thing to do. Unfortunately, the cost cutting has come mainly in their producing areas instead of their non-producing, non-core areas. And I believe that the government should have a stern conversation with them to understand exactly why they are reducing costs on even drivers who earn 3,000 cedis a month versus certain non-core expatriates and certain non-core head office costs which are being charged to the oil, as oil costs in Ghana. The government needs to be very, very critical in this, because I don't see why a driver will be let off in Ghana, whereas you have some who's earning 36,000 cedis a year versus somebody earning almost 2 million cedis a year in the UK office. We need to look at that critically. We need to understand why they are doing that. We need to have conversations with them. Petroleum Commission should really do its job, and as a regulator of the industry, to understand why they're having layoffs, and also understand why they have not converted many of the positions that should be held by Ghanaians in Ghana, and also why they are moving some of the oil service costs to their head office in the UK. Thereby, that means that jobs that are meant for Ghana will be moved to the UK.
Meanwhile, Alex Mode has also been making a case for oil marketing companies to adjust their prices in line with the current market development. And we're doing more analysis on this with Duncan Amwa, which is the institute actually with the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, on what does he make of this, whether it's time indeed to do this. We'll take a short commercial break. We'll be right back. I'll be doing more analysis on this whole cause for the oil marketing companies to drop their prices in line with what is happening in the market. If you look at the Ghana cedi, you've seen that being recorded some sustained appreciation. And since it's a major factor when it comes to reviewing their prices, why are the OMCs taking so long to review their prices at the pumps? I'm joined in the studio here by Duncan Amwa. He is actually with the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, going to share his thought with us on what he makes of this development as the deregulation policy actually working. That's the first question I want to throw to you. And this policy was meant to ensure that players respond to development on the market. If indeed it warrants a reduction, quickly it should happen. If it warrants an adjustment, it should happen.
George.
Is the deregulation policy working? That's what I thought also to ask you.
George, thank you and good afternoon to you.
Thank you.
You say deregulation only when you are discussing the market dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay, would demand and supply be able to balance off? So how much people are demanding by way of petroleum supplies, and then how much how much is being supplied, and so that should balance or ease off. So the greater the demand, the higher the price. Yeah. The lower the demand, the lower the price. Unfortunately for us in Ghana, the way your price build-up has been set, it is always going to work against the consumer, unfortunately.
So for you, is it correct to say that
deregulation is barely working?
In terms of the price deregulation factor?
It is barely working, although in name, you have a situation where government now no longer would have to be paying for subsidies like we used to before deregulation. So if there's anything that government has benefited from deregulation, then it's from the fact that there's no longer legacy debt. If you recall, a week or two ago, government said they had cleared all legacy debt that they owed the BDCs. What deregulation or price liberalization means is that government doesn't owe anybody anything. So you charge what you want to charge. But unfortunately, your price build-up has been set in such a way that all the three elements that go to give you the final pump price, they all work against the consumer. I will state them quickly. Now you are looking at your refinery price, which is what you call international market price. Now, international market price is something we don't determine.
And fixed cost, actually.
Yes. So whatever happens between Iran and the US, if there are escalations, we pay for it. If there are de-escalations, however, right, if the situation is positive, then government will come in with the second element, which is your taxes, right? Yeah. So where we've seen international market prices go down sometimes to 30, 28, and Ghanaians should have enjoyed, that reduction, government will respond with taxes. And then if government doesn't respond with taxes, let's say taxes have been quite liberal or they haven't gone up, then you would find your CD, which is the third component of pricing, sometimes dancing. So at all times, the way your price build-up has been set, the consumer is going to lose.
I get you, but the CD is more of a major factor, a variable in reviewing the prices. If you look at the market trends, for more than a month, even if people will question the appreciation, it has been stable. So what is stopping the oil marketing companies, depending on the currency factor, the FX factor, in reducing their prices?
You see, George, good one, very good one. Our expectation was that prices would have gone down. But before anybody would say Jack, the NPA had, used the stabilization and recovery levy. They had reduced to zero, right? At the time prices were going up, they reduced to zero. So when prices are supposed to come down, then you find the NPA reintroducing stabilization. And I can show you here where it has reintroduced stabilization and recovery on both the white products and even LPG. So like I indicated, the consumer expects that once your CD dollar stabilizes or the CD even appreciates, he would see some reduction in his pump prices. But it is not happening because there's another tax somewhere that had been scaled down that is being reinforced. So at all time material, Ghanaians are just not going to get a fair deal with this deregulation
I get
program.
You have always been engaging the oil marketing companies. What are they saying? Are they going to adjust their prices this week?
It will be difficult to expect them to adjust.
Why?
I wish we could push them further, but again, I'll show you some communication that has gone on between the NPA and these oil marketing companies. If you have a situation where prices have gone down and they could have done some 10 or 20% reduction, and then you reinforce the stabilization, 16%.
Yeah.
It means that they should collect that money. So whatever they should have gone down at the pumps by, those monies will probably go into offset. So sometimes we look at these oil marketing companies and think that they are making super profit. But George, I used to bash them a lot.
Yeah.
Until I started looking at their financial.
What are you seeing now that you've changed your stance on them?
See, deregulation, as far as what we are practicing is concerned, is working against them.
Let me bring in a program that just happened this afternoon, the National Petroleum Authority launching that marking system, and also let you talk about what the players are doing with this new product that they are introducing. The National Petroleum Authority this afternoon actually says will revoke the licenses of downstream petroleum companies which are not adhering to standards. According to the authority, the action has been stated by the elimination of poor quality fuel and ensure value for money for consumers. Chief Executive Alhassan Tempuli spoke at the launch of the second phase of the Petroleum Product Marking Scheme, which took place in Accra today.
In Uganda, when you fill the marker test for the first time, you are made to pay, is it a 50% or 100% of the tax that you evaded? The second time is multiplied, times 2, is doubled. The third time, they seize their license. We are getting to the stage where we'll be seizing the licenses after second or third failure. Because the revenue that the government is expecting from the downstream petroleum industry is almost in excess of 5.2 billion Ghana cedis. Talking of special petroleum tax of about 2.2 billion cedis. We are looking at the road fund levy, which is about 2.4 billion cedis. We are looking at energy debt, which is about 400 million Ghana cedis, and so on and so forth. So the responsibility that is placed on us doesn't give us room to play. So we are very focused and we have to deliver so that we'll be able to achieve the Ghana Beyond Aid mantra that the president has put before us. So we're very clear in our mind that whatever it is that we have to do to ensure that we gain revenue to support the activities of the government, that's almost about $1 billion. And that represents about 10% of GDP.
Okay. So that's the National Petroleum Authority boss talking about the fact that they will be tough with oil marketing companies that flout the rules when it comes to standardization. And so let me wrap up on the pricing issue and let's do this one quickly. So for you, we shouldn't expect any reduction.
It will be difficult to expect. It
won't happen.
Once MPA is enforcing stabilization and recovery levy, that is almost taking away whatever reductions you would have seen. Today is 19th. The window started on the 16th.
Consumers have been shorting you.
Your system is just not fair to consumers.
Let me come to this whole thing about the marking that the MPA has launched. What do you make of this initiative?
It's good. It's been there for a long time. Now, what it's supposed to have done, it didn't do. And so if MPA is scaling up on ensuring that the marking now prevents people from taking fuel that is meant for Nigeria, the Ivory Coast or Mali, and bringing it back to Ghana, that would be a good sign. But as to whether they would even deploy enough men on the field to check to see that a station that is selling fuel that is probably marked for export will be sanctioned, that is up to them. Those are operational issues. We want to see them, work a lot
and
more.
just in 2 seconds, what would that also mean by supply of products as well?
Once you are doing marking, is only to differentiate your product from what other jurisdictions are supposed to be. So if it says that it's a transit good, expect it to go out of the jurisdiction.
And we appreciate your time and the quality time you spent with us. Today is actually your birthday.
George, yes, it's my birthday actually, and what do I do?
We want to wish you a very happy birthday and for all your contributions. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we decided to surprise Mr. Duncan Amoah in terms of his birthday. And so we're going to cut the cake. I'll call Odelia and my production team to come and then let's do something with him for all the good work he's done. He's a February born at the end of the day, you know.
And George, you are February too.
I was on Sunday actually. Odelia, join us and let's cut the cake.
Oh my!
Okay, to
Wow.
actually say thank you
Let's
so much.
sing
and,
happy birthday.
So let's
Wow,
do this because
wow,
my
wow.
director said we have little time in, so let's do it. Happy birthday.
Odelia,
to
let me hold your hand.
you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to us.
to Duncan.
Happy
Birthday to you. He pray.
Thank you so much.
I don't even know how to say
Thank
that.
you. It's all yours from
George.
us to you.
George, this is me and you.
Good for you. Talk to soon. We have to go and get them down on the marketplace. Have a good day.
George, thank you. Thank you, Odelia. And